Yeah, IT sent a message. The mic will be on mute until the meeting starts.
Okay, but I can hear you. That's all right.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Everyone, please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ashley, can I have roll call, please?
Alt.
Here.
Hibma.
Here.
Shustel.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Brecken.
Here.
Plot.
Here.
Okay, it's time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address council, not on any issue, not on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first, last name and address, please.
Hi, Trey Everett, 414 Houston Avenue. I just have a question and maybe discussion, and maybe you've already discussed this or answered this question already. I was just wondering why the retired state flag is flying at the arena and the city government building instead of the current flag.
Good question. I guess what we can do is we'll just relay that message to staff and go from there. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
So I'll talk to Scott from Park and Rec, and I don't know if it's a struggle getting the right size or not sure.
Yeah, I did go in to talk to Scott. He wasn't there when I was there, but I talked to his, the assistant.
Kate?
Yes, who was very helpful and knowledgeable. I just told her why I was there, and she said, it was basically, the state flag was flown, but there were some complaints, so they took it down and put up the old flag. I don't know if that's accurate, that's what she said. But I think it's, important for the city to think about this. Lots of cities in Minnesota have done various things. Some have decided we're gonna fly the old flag. Some have decided, no, we're gonna respect the new flag and fly it because it's the official flag. Some have said we'll fly both, but let's put the old flag above the new one. Some have said we're not gonna fly any flag if there's too much, arguing happening. No Minnesota state flag, I should say. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and I think it's an important thing.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, Bishop Jensen, 314 Leonard Avenue. First, I would just like to start out by saying thank you to the participants in our time capsule over the 4th of July from Prairie Skyline Foundation. I'm here on behalf of Prairie Skyline Foundation. I have a couple of things that I'd like to cover here while I have your attention for time, but I did consolidate and condense it as much as possible for you folks, so that way we're not taking up this entire meeting. If you want to, I'll just start by handing one of those down. I'll take one of those and pass it down. We are initiating or hosting a Crazy Days here locally after kind of talking with quite a few area businesses. They'd like to see a Crazy Days hosted, and we. Oh yes, please. Yeah, if you can do it down. And so that's kind of that sheet that's going around right now, just giving you information on that and letting the city know about that as well. Now, my next bit of agenda here in today after the time capsule thank you to the city, the Polk County Historical Society, the library, JD Concrete, the jeweler, and City Hall. Now I'm going to go into my next proposal here. This is more of a strategic plan regarding 102 North Broadway. I'll just go ahead and give you those. And I'm just going to read this out loud for you folks, but it is there presented to you formally. The strategic proposal by the Prairie Skyline for the preservation of 102 North Broadway. The Prairie Skyline Foundation respectfully requests that the city council postpone any decisions regarding the demolition of the former Tri-Valley building at 102 North Broadway to allow time to evaluate its long-term preservation plan. Our proposal removes future financial responsibility from the city while preserving an important part of the city's historic history throughout nonprofit ownership. The current justification for demolition centers on limited asbestos-containing material, which I have learned has already been abated. And the Plan 27 Highway Project 2 construction, we believe these issues deserve further review before an irreversible decision is made. As currently proposed, the highway project is intended to slow traffic through downtown, not increase it. Any roadway design should be prioritized, safety vehicles, and the behavior of the pedestrians rather than requiring the loss of a historical downtown building. We insist that we investigate public funds in the demolition. The Prairie Skyline Foundation is prepared to acquire the property and assume responsibility at this time for its restoration and long-term maintenance. The building has served Crookston for generations as both a financial institution and a long-term home to the Tri-Valley Opportunity Council. Preserving it protects an important piece of the community's history while creating new opportunities for the future. The foundation proposes using the building as its permanent headquarters, while providing affordable offices and meeting spaces for nonprofit organizations and community-focused programs. Leasing income would support building maintenance and future preservation efforts. This approach preserves a historical landmark, eliminates future demolition costs to taxpayers, engages nonprofit collaboration, and supports long-term downtown revitalization. Preservation of 102 North Broadway is not simply about saving a building, it is about investing in Crookston's future. Our request, we respectfully ask the City Council to delay demolition proceedings and allow time to fully evaluate this preservational proposal. This partnership would eliminate future demolition costs to taxpayers, preserve a significant historical downtown landmark, expand opportunity for nonprofit collaboration and community programs, supporting long-term downtown revitalization through private stewardship. Preserving 102 North Broadway is more than serving and saving a building. It is an investment in Crookston's history, identity, and future. Respectfully, the Prairie Skyline Foundation. Now what I have here are packets to lay out this plan. If you just want to go ahead and take one and pass it down, I'll let you guys review that. You can reach out to me with any questions, and hopefully we can work forward to finding a new solution for the building. To my last bit of exciting news that I would love to share with the community of Crookston as well as the City Council is, I am proud to call Crookston home and announce my bid for mayor now that the affidavit period has closed. My family roots run deep in this community, dating back to the early days of settling this area. That history has given me a strong appreciation for the people, values, and hard work that have helped shape our community over generations. As a local business owner, I understand the challenges and opportunities that come with investing in our community. Every day I work with residents, support local organizations, and contribute to our local economy. My investment in Crookston goes far beyond my business, my future, my family's future. It is my commitment all around. I believe that strong communities are built by people who are willing to invest their time, energy, and resources into making them better. That is why I have chosen to serve and why I am running for mayor. I want to help ensure that Crookston remains a place where business can thrive, families can succeed, and the future generations have every opportunity to call this community home. As mayor, my role will be to provide thoughtful oversight, encourage transparency and accountability, and work collaboratively with the City Council and administration to ensure decisions are made in the best interest of our residents as well as the city. Mayor carries an important responsibility to ask questions, promote reasonable governance, and help keep the city's long-term interests at the forefront. Together, we can build on our history while preparing Crookston for a strong and sustainable future. I am asking you to secure my place in office in the sincerest efforts to maintain what we have. Candidate for Mayor Bishop Jensen, a vote for Jensen is a vote for resident consideration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can we respond at all, Your Honor?
Well, no, we're not supposed to.
Okay.
I guess, take the,
There is no rule.
I know there's no rule, but it could be open up a long debate.
I mean, I don't see any problem with any council member that wants to respond.
Okay? Go ahead, Joseph.
Thank you. To your second point, Bishop, I have no issue with delaying the demolition. It's, $1.2 million. So I think it's a worthwhile to consider alternatives, but I've stated this before. Thanks for bringing this up.
Through this, I'll just openly say too, I've done my due diligence in trying to reach out to councilmen and women at large as well as individually. I have initiated conversations with Cheetah via the website to try and also communicate about these intentions and just get a better idea of it. So by no means is this a new approach. This is something that, is kind of, I feel, has been ignored as an option. I have tried individually as a resident come forward and just communicate my concerns in fiscal responsibility alone. And I feel this also just shows that I'm willing to help create a plan, not just complain about it. And so I hope that you folks respect that and see that opportunity and veering away from a very expensive demolition. I will say too that through this process, a lot of small roundtables have reminded me that I'm not just convincing one vote, but I am convincing a total of 8. And I do diligently respect that. And if anybody has further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to clarify them. I also understand that this topic has been voted on several times before. So this is not just asking a group of 7, 8, 9 people to turn their vote, but it's also asking them to change their vote altogether on the votes that they've already placed. So we do appreciate you guys listening to this, and we hope that you wholeheartedly consider it.
Bishop, I do have some questions on your financials and if we're doing this. So on here, and I do apologize, like I was out of town. I did try calling you on that one.
The data's an example set.
Okay, because,
Yeah.
and I get that. So my question is you guys have 2 properties currently? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
And you guys have been trying to restore that?
Yeah,
correct?
we can't, we don't have a physical foundation to operate out of, so it drastically cuts our funding back as to what we can apply for. If we had a physical site to operate out of, we would be able to secure more funding, which would also have a great trickle effect on the other buildings that we already man. This is kind of an opportunity that's presenting itself to the Prairie Skyline Foundation as a resource, a potential resource.
Just so on there, you guys, how much have you guys ever received between what you have currently on private donations?
Just here locally,
For your buildings,
oh, like in total?
just from private donations?
Oh, I would have to look into the books further to that. I've been recently asked to join this organization, so I haven't gotten a full
Okay.
scope of those scenarios. But I will say that we do have quite a few newer, more consistent donors that are starting to donate more consistent amounts.
Okay, just because my question and concerns on that is you guys have 2 buildings that I know you guys have been trying to restore on that end. And then taking on a third,
Yes, this
that
was,
does have some, because of the abatement, some demolition issues on the inside that would have to be.
right, and we're
fixed.
hoping to work with the city on some of that, since we know that we would be veering away from a costly demolition of $1.3 million.
But my question is back to this, of you guys expecting to raise $300,000 to $400,000 over 5 years. Have you guys shown a history of being able to do that?
Yes, through grant writing processes, we have secured thousands and thousands of dollars to go into the current buildings. It's
Like
not,
$500,000?
I would say over the last 5 years, collectively, probably, yeah, between the 4 or 5 major projects that they've completed just on the cathedral alone. There's been a lot of work that's been done to these church buildings that maybe isn't like easy to notice or recognize from an outside point of view. But they have put in new roofs. We've done a lot of sealing on the roofs. They've reset the steps. And those all have thousands of dollars behind them in grant funding. And it's a lot easier to secure grant funding if you have a physical office. And so that's what the Tri-Valley building would provide us, as a physical office. That's been a main concern by donors here locally too, their contributions, is just having a site that they can go in and communicate with the foundation directly at to better coordinate these projects.
And what funds do you guys currently have available if we were to hand this over?
Are you like asking for a monetary exchange value?
No, I'm just saying, like, if this is something that you guys are saying that you're trying to.
So we actually have, on good understanding, renters immediately, so we would have revenue starting from it immediately. So that is one form of cost-effective, ways to maintain the building in itself, as well as there are reserves that the Prairie Skyline Foundation has that, I would have to get back to you on a set number. I just, wouldn't feel comfortable
No, that's fair.
spouting that off like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, most definitely. Any other questions?
Bishop, you've put in
Yeah,
there,
I just wanted to let you know that we have 1 over our 15 minutes of allotted time for the Crookston Forum. If the council and mayor would like to add additional time, but again, per our 15
Gotcha.
minutes, we have already succeeded that.
I will, we'll move on, Bishop. I will be in contact with you.
Thank you for your time, folks. I
Thanks,
appreciate it
Bishop.
greatly.
All right. Moving on, this brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add anything to tonight's agenda? Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Your Honor.
Thanks,
Second.
Don and Clayton, thank you. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alt. Aye. Pivma.
Aye.
Shustel.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Brecken.
Aye.
Lot.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Wendy. Is there a second?
One second.
Second by Morgan. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alt. Aye. Pivma.
Aye.
Shustel.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Brecken.
Aye.
Lot.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. No public hearings. Regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Under the regular agenda, 8.01 is a resolution accepting the Front Street Stormwater Fallout Preliminary Engineer Report in Task Order 30, authorizing the final design and project implementation, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Clayton. Thank you. Discussion. Darren, anything?
Yeah, we have some discussion topics. I'll have, Public Works Director Chuck Getzman, come up and further explain that, and I have a little clarity when we're done here.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Yeah, I'll try to speak as clearly as I can. I just had some dental work done. So I might be mumbling a little bit. I do have Eric here with AE2S who can also help explain some things, and in case this gets worse, he'll just step in for me. But the Front Street Outfall, that is a storm drain located, I believe it was called Torkelson's Repair Shop or Auto Body Shop. There is the plumbing there became separated, and now the stormwater that flows through there is causing a sinkhole type situation. It's eating away at the soils, exposing the pipework, and the water just slowly, once it fills up high enough, works its way back into the storm and makes its way down to the river. This has been an ongoing issue. I think even Brandon dealt with it, and I want to say Pat Kelly even dealt with it as well. We've been trying to do fixes over the years, and now it's just getting to be a bigger issue than we thought. And so we would like to move forward and correct the problem. AE2S came up with a couple different options for us, and we're going with their recommended option here, which is less on cost but should repair it. I don't know, Eric, do you want to give maybe a design?
Chuck, does this affect occasionally when we got water standing on 6th Street under that underpass?
It is part of that. So the water from over there does make its way over to that storm drain. It's pretty much just eating away at the soil around where the pipe is no longer flush with each other. It fills up in there, And that's creating the water from not flowing as fast from those storms.
So, but would this fix the problem where occasionally we got
It should increase the flow in that area, but there is also another study we're gonna be doing to figure out where we need to have larger concrete, I'm drawing a blank on everything right now, my apologies. Concrete pipes in order to make sure that we have proper flow for the amount of water we get.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Chuck, a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So this is not a follow-up of inspection of the piping that we saw in a past meeting where we saw the images of damaged pipes. This has nothing to do with that. Am I understanding
No,
that?
that one was that was a sewer line that we're repairing. This one is for stormwater.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening, council. I'm Eric Klanger with A2S. I'll just kind of touch on a few things that Chuck said and maybe give a little more detail. So the alternative that we're recommending from our preliminary report is to essentially replace all the existing pipe. Roughly half of the joints over 130 to 150 feet have separated. So anytime there's a rainfall event, that water is rushing out of those joints, eroding the riverbank and creating that sinkhole that Chuck mentioned. And essentially every heavy rainfall we get makes it worse. To a point where, there's adjacent utilities, there's other storm drains in the area that go down to the river. There's also a sanitary line. If we keep seeing the type of movement we're seeing now, eventually those utilities will be compromised as well. So our recommendation is a full replacement to what's there. We're looking at different options for better pipe that can withstand any riverbank movement that's not due to, the failing pipe.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? All right, thank you.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Just for clarity also, this resolution and the next one, the Front Street Outfall, and the next one is the lift station 5. The costs on those, just so council's clear, what we would be doing is combining those two projects and covering the cost through the wastewater and water reserves. And the plan would be next year to bond for these projects and also a street project. We've been looking at South Minnesota and Strandner. These are all part of our long-term CIPs. We tried to grab a few projects that were high priority. These three came to top of the priority between the city of Crookston AE2S. The finance director, John, myself, and Chuck have sat down several times and with AE2S, looked at these options that were presented and the cost of these. Currently in the water, wastewater, public works budget, between wastewater repairs, water line repairs, and manhole repairs, we do annually budget $600,000 for that. Obviously, we have used some of that for that north front repair that Chastel asked about, but we're hoping that things go well this year. We're prioritizing some of those to see if those are any that we could delay. And the hope is that we wouldn't have to maybe bond at all for these or just a portion of them, depending on how the budget looks at the end of the year. But again, just before anybody votes, there is money to cover these in reserves, but the plan would be to again address council likely either later this year or first quarter next year to put a bond package together with these in a street project. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alt. Aye. Sigma.
Aye.
Chastel.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Brecken.
Aye.
Block.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.02 is a resolution accepting the lift station 5 preliminary engineer report and task order number 31, authorizing the final design and project implementation, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So
So moved.
Your Honor.
Got Clayton and I heard Joseph. Thank you. Discussion, I guess, Chuck, again on this one, this lift station?
Yeah, so this is gonna be a continuation of a project we've been doing for the past, I think we started it last year, for improvements at lift station number 5. That's the one on Memorial. With these improvements made, we should see less backflow into residential housing. Plus, if there are any expansions that take place down in that area, the sewer lines and the lift station will be able to handle it, no issues.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
Just a quick question. So this is a pumping system to move water from a lower elevation to a higher elevation. And then, so the evidence that we need this is that water is going back into homes. Is that, did I understand that correctly, Chuck?
Yes, so to my understanding, this was going on past couple of years prior to me starting. Whenever there was heavy rainfall, there was issues with, or even high water, there was issues with some of the pumping of the water at the lift station, keeping up and sending wastewater to the lift station to be expelled out into the ponds. What we discovered last year was that the pumps were sufficient, but the plumbing was not. And so we did is it called burst?
Yeah, pipe bursting.
Pipe bursting. So they did a type of pipe bursting to expand the plumbing on the road out there. And now we just have some controls and some more modifications to take care of in the task order number 31, so we can get this completed.
Is there, thank you for answering that. Is there some kind of a monitor device on there that would tell us how those pumps are faring before it actually, if there's a failure again, and then a particular home deals with it?
So
before that happens, is there a monitor?
Yeah, all of our lift stations are hooked up to what's called a SCADA system. And that SCADA system tracks all our lift stations, how long the pumps are running, if the backup pumps are running, or if they're failing. And then that sends a text and a phone call to the crew, including myself, to let us know that there's an issue that we need to respond to. But it will not tell us if backup is happening in somebody's house.
So are homeowners contacted in those areas when you find out that there is an issue, given when you're notified by that data monitoring system?
No, we don't notify any residents. We just go and try to repair and handle the situation as fast as possible. If a resident does have backup coming up through the basement or anything like that, they normally call, I believe it's the sheriff's department, or we have an after hours number, and then that gets sent on to one of the crews that's on call.
Thank you.
I can add real quick to that too. So part of the new control system that'll be going in with this rehab, it's a little bit more advanced than what's out there now. And that'll be set up in a way that, we'll know immediately and ahead of time before that station fills up. So the idea would be that, a pump goes down, we're running in backup mode, Chuck gets a text or whoever's on call, they get out there and we still have time, before we get to a point where that station is backing up anywhere.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it'd be nice if there's a monitoring system in place before someone finds failure of septic in their own house, that they're, in a perfect world, they'd be notified such that they wouldn't, it'd be a way to prevent potential damage in their own house. I'm just trying to think proactively for when this sort of thing happens in the future.
There is technology out there, I know, that will sense excessive moisture in your basement, or if your sump pump fails, it will notify you via phone call or a text message.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
And again, Your Honor, just for the record, this would be the second project, as I previously explained, that would be lumped together and if needed, would be added to a bond next year, included in the street project. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have roll call, please.
Alt.
Aye.
Hidma.
Aye.
Shostel.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Brecken.
Aye.
Lot.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.03 is a resolution approving a temporary construction easement for the Broadway and Main Avenue ADA retrofit and concrete pavement repair project, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Morgan. Thank you. Discussion. Darren, maybe?
Yeah, Your Honor, again, this is another easement that we've seen several of these come through. There's been easements between the state of Minnesota and the city of Crookston. This particular easement, as we've seen a few, is between the city of Crookston and business owners along the Highway 2 corridor south of East Robert on both Broadway and Main. I believe we have ran 6 roughly through council. There should be maybe 1 or more to come through. This is just another one that trickled in at 121 Main Street in Crookston. An easement between the city of Crookston and that business owner in the amount of $1,000, Your Honor.
Thank you. Further discussion? So roll call, please.
Alt.
Aye.
Hidma.
Aye.
Shostel.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Brecken.
Aye.
Lot.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Okay, this brings us to council reports. Anything to add, Darren?
Yeah, a couple things. Again, just a reminder, everybody, that tomorrow, August 4th, is night to night at UMC from 4:30 to 7:30. There will be a table set up for the mayor and council. Hope everybody has the opportunity to come out and attend or visit. Also, I'd like to just talk to the council and see what their schedule is. We have come to a tentative agreement with the AFSCME union, and I would like to schedule a special council meeting for August 10th, Monday, at 5:30. That would be a closed session to discuss with council the AFSCME union contract. My goal through this is to have a contract to bring back through the August 17th council meeting. That's why I would like to have a special meeting. So wondering if council be available next Monday, August 10th at 5:30 for a special council meeting.
August 10th.
Does that work for everyone?
I'll make it.
Will that, can it be electronic?
At a closed session.
It would be a closed session, correct? So
I can't then.
Everybody else good?
Based on the weather, I guess, from myself.
So how does that work? If we got a couple council members that can't make it,
As long as we have a quorum.
as long as we have a quorum, we're good. So everybody else okay?
I'm good.
I'm going to
Yep.
check.
Just go
If you
ahead and
moved it.
schedule it then, Darren.
okay, thank you, Your Honor. We will send out a notice later this week for the Monday. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. So don't forget, let's start with Joseph. Anything to report?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment, getting back to what Darren said, if it could just be moved a few days to around the 14th or later, then I could attend. Yeah, we had a Crookston Housing and Economic Development Authority meeting on July 30th. And some of the high points of that is that we discussed RFPs for the fee accountant and then selected one. And so we're going to the next step on that. So that's linked back to the audit that we had just to help with financials. We discussed and approved a request for a loan of $75,000 from the revolving loan account. Currently that account is, if you're not aware, it's a little bit over $337,000. When I say current, that's of June 30th. And those loans are for 4 to 6% and have to be paid back within 10 years' time. We discussed a childcare grant request, a small amount, less than $1,000, but it was for a smoke alarm system, and that was passed as well. And we discussed financials. And during that discussion, and given the recent audit by the federal government, HUD, we then had a discussion regarding, is there something that we can, is there a recommended way that we can look at the financials that would help us? And we talked about potential graphs and other ways that might improve and even shorten how we're looking through these things. So most of us are looking, even in council, you're looking line from line to line, you're looking for differences and you compare across years, but it's easy to miss things. And so we are wondering, is there some other symbol marker that we could utilize? And maybe since HUD had audited us, maybe include some of the things that they're looking for and use those. So I think that's still being discussed, but we're just concerned that when we look through the financials that we're looking at them the right way, again, out of Cheetah. Then I'm going to switch over to the second topic. It was very nice. Cassidy and Aaliyah from the Crookston Public Library, the Lake Agassiz Regional Library, they walked me through their, what I would say, an outstanding summer reading program, and they have their finale this Wednesday, August 5th. But since beginning of June, from 2 to 3 o'clock on each Wednesday, they've had on average 150 attendees. So these, anyone up to age 18, and they come in and after they read 20 days straight, it doesn't have to be every single day, but then they get a ticket and they get an item such as a feather pen, electronic, kind of a graphing, low level tablet, or a little journal, which kind of eggs them on to keep on reading. And then every time they do that, they get 20 of those days reading. They also get in to potentially win something larger. And so this coming Wednesday would be the last time, and they'll see who's going to get the larger award. So I just want to recognize Cassidy and Aaliyah, as well as Chris from the library, for this incredible program, which I think we need in every community. So thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Wendy, anything?
I forgot to mention last time that I attended the Riverview Auxiliary Fair of Tables, and it was a really nice event, well organized and super fun. So hopefully others will join that event next year as well. And I'm looking forward to the night to unite. That's all for me.
Thank you. Dwayne?
I guess I would like to see, before we change our flag, that will come to a council vote on the next agenda.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, that's it.
Thank you. Derek?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Don?
No report, Your Honor.
Clayton?
Nothing to report.
Henry?
For me.
Morgan?
Basically everything Joseph said about the Cheetah meeting. The only other thing was we are still working on the Eichhoff lots and how we can give them away either through a lottery or that, but which we've been working on for a while. But it does look like the state has changed some ordinances or requirements on income from when that happened on Barrett. So that is still being worked on there. The only other thing is per our last Ways and Means meeting, a comment was made, and I've had a lot of comments made or text messages or phone calls, and I would just like to take a moment and thank our first responders for everything that they do on that end. So.
Great, thank you. Just a couple things. I also attended Cheetah. Morgan and Joseph pretty much filled everybody in. Also attended the planning committee, and they kind of went through the draft regarding the comp plan. So basically it goes to, I think, to planning one more time for their approval, and then it'll come to council for our approval. So hopefully it's streamlined quickly. So, and also I'd like to thank Deed. They gave us a grant of $750,000 for the industrial park. So that was good news. So that is all I have tonight, so just reminder, we do have a Ways and Means meeting tonight, so nothing else to come before council. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Committee meeting to order for August 3rd, 2026. Going through preliminary budgets. I suppose we can start with fire. Seems.
Yeah, Your Honor, we have four budgets tonight respectively go through fire EM, community development, Valley Tech Park, finance and IT. Sounds worse than it is, but yeah, certainly start with fire EM. That sounds great. Thank you.
Right. All right, ready to go?
You guys can see the fire department's proposed 27 budget. It's focusing on maintaining the level of emergency service that our community expects while responsibly planning for future needs. A lot of the increases are contractual, insurance, or inflationary pressures, which don't just affect us, but every municipality. I guess one thing, as I reference code lines, just the last three numbers sufficient for everybody, as long as we know what's revenue or expenditures?
Yep.
Okay. Then initially, we're gonna just start on the revenue side. Oops, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, sorry.
No.
The revenue side, 2183 is our rental program. This account represents registration fees collected through the city's rental registration program. The projected increase reflects expected registrations. We're also working with finance to better align the revenue recognition during online registrations. If you guys remember, we did work, and when you look at the past numbers, 25 into 26, there's a fluctuation there. Stumbled upon the fact that when we did the online registrations, there's some of the revenue from 26 that probably hit on the 25's books. So John and I are gonna work in accordance and try to get that number so it's a little bit more accurate and try to do some budget adjustments to make it so it does directly reflect the actual income that comes from a rental registration. At this point in time, it is conservatively budgeted as an increase, as I don't wanna go over. We do also keep an eye out for new rentals and any unregistered property. Thanks to the water department, we are able to use technology to our advantage on that and see if we can find any that have slipped through the cracks or any new rental property owners that do not know about our rental registration and our rental program.
Is there a penalty for not registering,
Say it again?
for not registering your rental property? Is there a penalty or anything, or?
Yeah, there is. Take it twofold. If it's somebody that's current that hasn't registered it, that to us is a problem. That seems more blatant.
Or say they don't register and we don't catch it for a couple of years, is it retro? Then do they have to go back and pay from when they started?
We haven't gone down the road on that side of an enforcement, no.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'd rather get them in the books and get our firefighters in there to make sure that that property's safe. And work with them to make sure that they are in compliance rather than have too heavy of a hand.
Okay.
From there, moving down to 3422, our state grants, also other increase from 45 to 48. That revenue primarily comes from the state fire aid and some firefighter training reimbursements. This comes and hopefully helps offset some of the local tax dollars and some of the training that we provide. The reimbursements that, the state fire aid that comes in, it comes in September, or they determine that amount in September, and then we usually see that money in October. That is there to subsidize pension costs. We also have, if you look at the reflection on there, some of the numbers that have come out with the 49,000 in 2025. The number that state aid comes from is population and the general market values of the property you protect. I was conservative again on this number, just due to the fact that we did have population decrease. That shows up on our files when it looks at our history. Didn't want to get too over the moon on that. I'd like to talk about the MBFTE reimbursement once we get to our training line expense item, just because I think it ties in better there. Still under for charges for service. Account number 4202. The number that we have there is the direct number that we have for our contractual revenues from organizations for fire protection or specialized services. We are exploring additional service agreements and also maybe some fire extinguishing opportunities or training opportunities, excuse me. There are a couple of different working agreements that right now I do not have details, finite details on, but we do have a couple avenues that we are looking into to try to increase revenues for the fire department. When I have numbers that are a little bit more finite, I'd be prepared to bring those forward. But at this point in time, I just don't feel comfortable bringing those in. Is there any questions on the revenue side of things?
I have one quick question.
Yes.
And maybe this is more of a Darren question and I don't even know. We had discussed in the Cheetah meeting on Oak Court of having the fire department take over, going through and certifying those as people move in and out. Is that reflected in here, Darren? Or does that have even been discussed?
It's one of those that's one of the figures that I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not missing anything.
Okay.
One question as far as revenue, and I think I've asked it before. I know in Detroit Lakes, they charge for fire calls because a lot of times people's insurance covers fire calls. So it's just basically a pass-through for the homeowner who's ever getting charged. Have you ever thought about that at all, or?
It's another one of those revenue sources that I just don't have those accurate figures on yet.
So yeah, I don't know exactly what they charge for, if it's fires, if it's emergency calls or whatever it is, but maybe it'd be worth a call down, talk to them down there just to see. I mean, maybe it's not even, I don't know, maybe it's not even much a year, just a thought.
I don't think.
But I do know that when I was in the propane business down there, we had a couple of our propane tanks get a leak at a resident. Well, they billed us because they were our propane tanks. And, then we paid it. I mean, but.
Maybe through insurance or something.
Yeah, and I think,
Sure.
and I asked the fire chief, I said, so why you guys charge for this? And he said, well, we adopted this because a lot of times people's homeowners insurance covers fire calls.
There's riders on almost everybody's
Yeah.
homeowners insurance.
So then it's a pass through from the insurance to the fire department.
Yeah.
I know we had asked last time also, and maybe this isn't the correct spot, but also going on medical calls. And I know last year you were talking about getting some of your people getting certified on that. Where are we at on there?
I would say that's still a work in progress at this point in time. The ambulance staff was extremely shorthanded, and I know there was a true need for it to the point where we actually had off-duty shift and other paid on-call members that were essentially signed up just to drive. They just had to drive the ambulance to get them from point A to point B. Now they've had some staffing that they've added on the EMS side. So realistically, it's just still working with their manager, but as everything kind of fluctuates.
But we have people that are certified.
Yeah.
We have gone through that.
We've gone through that process. I can't say that everybody is EMT certified, but once again, they're still progressing.
Okay. Have we ever thought of that just being kind of a permanent thing that we offer?
There's a lot of legalities to that. And I don't think at this point in time, the city would have the appetite to be able to further that venture.
So one question, how many calls, I don't expect you to know this off the cuff, but about how many calls a year do you guys get that you have to respond to?
Just incidents, anytime.
Yeah,
you call for
it
service.
may be like a percentage wise, a breakdown of what you're going or what it is, I guess. I mean, I'm not asking you to be accurate, just get a feel for
Last year was 398 calls.
398 calls. Were they all fires or are they?
No, with the fire department, there's a pretty vast array of what we get called for. So if that's something you'd like, I could get you a breakdown of that.
It'd be, I mean, nothing to do with the budget, but it's just be interesting for me to know, I guess, maybe. If you,
It is one of those where we do have call lists and things like that, and now we have a new digital platform that we enter all of our incidents on. We're hoping that that advancement in technology is going to actually allow us to have those breakdowns in a very simple report instead of somebody taking and actually having to physically hand compile what types of incidents we have. That's already gonna be coded. And if we can do that, then we can break that down in reports, graphs, and we can start to use that as data.
so yeah, I mean, for my own example, I know I had a CO2 call one time, you guys responded to that. I'm sure you respond to similar, or lots of those types of calls and fire alarm in the house and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
If there's nothing else for revenues, I can move into expenditures. Just please keep in mind, every request we have here is intended to maintain the emergency response capabilities that we have at this. There's no expanding, trying to maintain what the citizens of Crookston deserve and nothing beyond. We go to personnel, that is 0101 all the way through 0133. 0101 is regular salaries. 010, and that's contractual, sorry. 0102, we do have an increase there. That is our overtime. That is based off emergencies, emergency calls, callbacks. It's what allows us to keep our building at our minimum staffing for 365 days a year on an annual basis. It is a number that fluctuates on a yearly basis. There's going to be a little bit of increase due to contracts, but at the same point in time, there is going to be a fluctuation just based on the number of calls that we have in a year. So trying to give you the best outlook is where I can go with that. I've got a base rate that I have that I can utilize off of that when it comes to full-time staff with the multiple trainings that we do on an annual basis. And then with some meetings, the number is gonna generally reflect the response of those personnel on their off-shift days. I've got 6 guys down there that are gonna live this fire department. They are dedicated. And even as of today, when I pull the number, they're averaging 240 hours of off-duty callback service, meaning that when our pagers go off, and the fire department's gotta respond, these are guys that show up. I know that can be a little bit different just because we have a full-time staff and our paid-on-call department that we have under contract, but both groups serve each other. So when something happens in the rural, our guys will show up and help. Just like when we have something in the city, their guys don't hesitate and they show up and help.
Shane, I got a small question. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so the line item salaries regular, the 2024, 435,587, and then projected for 2027 is $523,595. Is that for the same number of people?
Yes, that is correct.
How many again? 6? Is that what you said?
6 full-time staff and then myself.
So, and those are just contract-based increases.
Shane, was there in 25, did we run short at all, or is that only in 24?
24 and 25 we
And
ran
25.
short. Yep, and
So
that's,
there was a portion of time where there was only 5.
yes, there was a portion of time we were down to 4. And then obviously you can see correlating with the line items right underneath those, the overtime goes up. Because using full-time staff to cover those shortages. Yes, we are fully staffed and I think I've had to sit and present in front of you guys now for 4 years and every year I say, I hope that I'm fully staffed and will continue to be so, and it just hasn't happened. We've had to rotate, we've had people leave.
Do we do exit interviews?
Say it again.
Are we doing exit interviews to find out why they're leaving?
No.
What is the typical reason that they leave?
Oh, of the first ones that we had a firefighter that got hired in Minneapolis. We had another one that, once he got the life experience and he moved up here, it just wasn't right for him. It just was not a fit being a full-time firefighter up here. We had another one who couldn't get his fiance to move, and then inadvertently they were gonna start a family, and he ended up having to relocate to where she was at. The last one had a opportunity that came up that realistically I think he'd been waiting for a long time, and it showed up and he couldn't pass it up. I haven't had anybody in these interviews say that there is anything major or a common factor as to why they departed.
I feel the common factor is they're leaving Crookston, but.
No. No pride in this town.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, how do we make this a place that people wanna stay?
Being a
And I don't
firefighter-
think that's on you. I'm saying us in general.
Maybe give me a year, I'll see if I can get you.
No, yeah, I don't think that is just a you question. I think that's an us question.
Yeah, that's a bigger question than than just for the fire chief. But in terms of, I just want to make sure the council is aware that salaries are extremely important. And we had asked some of the same questions of Nate when he came in here, but also a good portion of these budgets that we review are salaries. And I just want to recognize, I'm not saying that people are being overpaid. I just want to recognize that increases of salary have been really good here in Crookston for our health services, both police and for the fire. And I don't see that would be a reason, as I look at these numbers, would be a reason why someone would leave. I think, because if you go to Wisconsin and so on, you're going to be getting paid a whole lot less. But if basic calculation here is you're looking at a 20% increase of salaries across from 2024 to projected 2027, that's good. A lot of places they're just holding, just say, all right, it's a tough time, we can't give you an increase. And so that's good. But I think we should just be acknowledging that and to be aware of what those percentages are. I had asked that question when the police department presented their data, and I didn't get an answer. And maybe with the meeting coming up on the 10th, that's closed, we'll find more information about what those percentages are. But I think it's things that we need to consider, at least to be aware of.
All the way down, I guess, all the way through 0133, once again. contractual, it's all kind of based off of that, so those increases. There's some that are there, treatment of family leave. We did get a update, or it was just advised projections on health insurance, things like that, that will be increased. So we get into a couple of them, 0200, office supplies. This account supports the department's just daily admin option or operations. We've reduced this account just based off of historical spending, but it still allows us our essential purchases. Covers any of the day-to-day business at the fire station. We do have a couple purchases that will be upcoming between office chairs and some display upgrades. $0212. What's gonna be my gas, oil? There's an increase there. Fuel supports every vehicle that we operate. The increase is gonna reflect the fuel projections that they're talking about for future forecasts, and also to assume the building official's vehicle fuel, knowing that he will be traveling to Ada. So that's my increase there. 0213 janitorial supplies. That went from 1,500 down to 1,200. That's the supplies that the guys need to clean the station and keep it looking nice. Once again, that's just based off of past history and purchases. We get down into 0221. That's my equipment repair, maintenance, increase from 36 to 38. This is the one account that protects the city's largest investments they make. And that's our emergency response fleet. The fleet does continue to age, but preventative maintenance and annual testing costs is considerably less than emergency repairs and apparatus downtime. Maintaining the apparatus means they're ready when a resident calls 911, and it's reliable equipment that helps us respond quickly and safely when they need us the most. Investing in the maintenance extends the equipment life while ensuring that it remains dependable during emergency responses. All repairs and maintenance for every vehicle is under this line item. We do have DOT inspections that are beginning to come up in 27. This line item also incorporates hose replacement, pump testing, some things that we used to have in different line items. We now have it fall into this category. And that's more for simplicity and transparency. 0222. Building repairs and maintenance, there's an increase there. That's the account that keeps the fire station functional and protects our facility. Some planned work we have is foundations or foundation work, building maintenance, including just routine, plus also window replacement. It's everything we can do to keep that fire station looking nice inside and out. So this also encompasses our grounds. Anything that regards to any maintenance on that side, this is the code that it'll go through. We do have a roof that is gonna need a little bit more repairs. We've seen more consistent leaks when we've had precipitation. There will be future planning that comes up, but at this point in time, we've got some leaks that we've gotta take care of.
So I have a couple questions, or maybe one question, and that might be the answer. So on that, for this year, we budgeted 9,500.
Correct.
We've spent a little under 4,000, which would be half, would be less than half. Are there, but it looks like we increased it. So is there upcoming repairs that we just have not?
There will be things that we can complete in the fall.
Okay.
Along with other projects, just timing.
It just hasn't happened yet. Okay.
Shane, I'm good with most of this, the budget. I don't see a need to go item by item here as I scan through this. I just had a question about just want a clarification, the capital improvement, the capital, that we've said that we're setting aside these monies. Can you just point out where that is in there? Is that under motor vehicles or is that something you already went over? That we said, fire truck costs $650,000. And then we said that we need to put money aside thinking ahead. Where is that in this?
Once we get down to them 500 codes, I think I should be able to talk through that.
So all those 05, those codes, Joseph, is where the CIP is.
You've lost me. The 0550 would be under there.
Anything that's
So-
05.
All those 05 codes are CIP. At the very end of the list.
The last four numbers, Joseph.
So specifically then, so for a fire truck, which is the most expensive item, I remember asking, you were telling us how much a vehicle like that costs. So that literally that would go under motor vehicles. And then that would be, so it goes up to 95,000 or can you just kind of walk me through that motor vehicle one then?
Hey, Joseph,
I
I
think
just
we
have
should
some more questions on some
try-
above that. So can we just continue down the line?
Try go in order.
I was
If we
trying to
can
be
just-
gentle with him and say that we didn't have to go through all the items individually. I was trying to go through the important items rather than making him go through all of them individually. But if the council wants to go through each item individually, that's fine.
I have some questions for those stuff.
I mean, I'm fine with not the stuff that's not increasing or very much and just skipping over those, I mean. But I'm more interested in the ones that have increased a lot over last year.
And that's kind of the high points that I
Yeah.
have. I just wanted to show, fiscally, yes, there's a couple that, and I know they're not major, but there's some that we can cut a little expense on, but then, yes, there's gonna be some others. Just as the view of the department and how we operate changes. That's where you're gonna see some of these, and that's what I'd like to get to, but.
Yep.
Please go ahead. with your
No, I think if we
questions.
work down and then as we get to them, if you skip it, I'll just come back.
Did you have anything on what we had currently?
No.
Nope.
So far, I've asked all my questions. I was
Okay.
just waiting as we work down our.
Okay. Then we will go into 0243, which is our safety expense. The account directly protects our firefighters. Investing in firefighter safety directly reports the safety of our citizens. It includes a turnout gear replacement, PPE maintenance, boots, gloves, firefighter wellness items, and specialized rescue equipment. We've also consolidated a few safety related purchases into this one account. The big reason that you see a major increase here is I have taken turnout gear, which we know is gonna be replaced on an annual basis. We've taken that and putting that into an operating line item for an annual. So it's no longer on a CIP. It is now here in this account. And that's what's gonna encapsulate a majority of this increase.
So then again, for the current budget versus year to date, is it just we have not purchased those items yet?
It's because we had, I probably glazed over it on the revenue side, but we had insurance claims that came in.
Okay,
And we had some damaged gear. So now I have to try to get back on my 10-year rotation.
okay,
It's just offset a little bit.
so that, cause we budgeted 9,000, but we
Yeah.
only spent about 500, that's through insurance claims? Offset it, okay.
Volunteer fireman fees, that's the contract that we have with the association.
So that's already at budget, so it's not gonna go up anymore for this year, right?
This year, that cost is fulfilled, or that expense is fulfilled. They take it in two installments, once in the first and then once before July 1st. So that one is done, yes. Professional fees 0312. That has shown an increase, and although it does, it's primarily due to annual firefighter physicals that follow the NFPA standards. There is also policy management that is incorporated into this cost. we have to have a policy that coordinates with state and federal regulations. Right now, ours is pretty loose. So
So,
I'd like to get us back on track and in full compliance.
so have we just not been doing that for the last years, or was it budgeted in a different
It's
line
one of
item?
those that just kind of got stumbled upon and started to do research and thought, oh boy, I should get this done.
Thank you.
0331, travel and training. That expense is one of the best investments you can make. It keeps the firefighter certified, improves emergency response. And some of these costs are reimbursable through the state. So once again, when you look at a line item there, what I have budgeted compared to what we have spent, obviously it's overspent. But what we can apply for reimbursement, this year we have on the books $18,000 that we're going to get reimbursed. So don't get too fidgety, please, on that number. But I keep that number there and I do not include it on my revenues. I don't include it on my revenues just so I can keep this balanced, and if I have an allocation of money that comes in from training, that's the money when it comes in on the revenues is complete offset.
John,
as
is that
much as
the
I
best way
possibly
for
can.
us to do accounting? Is just to not,
So say that, the expense is being recorded.
yeah, but he's saying that the revenue is not being recorded.
No, it's not in his budget, correct?
Correct.
So I guess, and Shane can specify more of the reliability, I guess, of those reimbursements coming in. So I guess that's where we would look at on the budget item is how well you can anticipate how much you're gonna, those reimbursements are gonna come in, I guess.
I could hit on that more than just
Yeah.
clarify with you. So the reimbursables, it's not just all across the board. We know every year that this is gonna happen to get reimbursed. If we have new firefighters, across the board, there's firefighter 1, there's firefighter 2, and there's other certifications. Those things we can get reimbursed. But if we don't have any staff changeover, then there's no way to, you gotta spend the money to make the money or to get it reimbursed. Depending on the fluctuations that we have on staffing levels, there might be years where, like this year, I said we're sitting pretty good to hopefully get the reimbursement. But there may be years where that number is only a couple $1,000s.
I hate putting and levying it out there when we're gonna get that reimbursed. Do you get what I'm saying there?
I understand what you're saying.
It would just be nice, I guess, yeah.
I think what we can do on that one, Morgan, is we can go back and look at some of our past averages. And like some of these were somewhat conservative when we put those numbers in there, but I agree with you. I think we can go back and look at some of those averages and try to put that back in revenues. I think that's the best way to do it. Thank you.
Thanks.
0433, subscriptions and dues would be another one that just has an increase. That one's due to a contractual agreement with the staff for gym memberships. It does also maintain fire department memberships, NFPA, bunch of different acronyms, but essentially it's for national standards and firefighting resources that we use on a daily basis to keep up with codes.
So the only addition was gym memberships?
Say that again?
The only addition was gym memberships?
Gym memberships, and then the multiple memberships that we have.
Does it increase in those membership fees?
Well, now we'll get down into those 500s that Joseph was talking about. These are ones that you guys can discuss, and we can kind of how we have viewpoints on this when we talk about building reserves. Right now in 0520, I do have buildings and structures, I do have $20,000 that are set, or that I would like to see for there. Water heater needs to be replaced at the fire station. I haven't gone out yet, but the two people that have come in and looked at it are surprised that it seems like it's almost original to the building. So I'd like to get ahead of that instead of having an emergency call. And the other one is to replace the overhead door on Bay 1, which is probably the most used door that we have, just to make sure that if we need it, it's gonna maintain, it's gonna work. 0540, I've got equipment. I didn't get a hold of John in time to get that one changed. That one should actually say 26 instead of 36, but that's on me. Essentially what I'm looking for is a battery-powered hydraulic auto extrication tool. What it is it takes what currently is a two-man job when it comes to motor vehicle accidents and turns it into a one-man job. Right now, we have to be able to offload it. It takes two guys to be able to lift the power unit, the hydraulic hose, and the tool to be able to get it out, to get it deployed. If we can go to a battery-operated one, there's one person that can do that. There's one person that can go right away and start assessing the scene and doing any victim or occupant treatment immediately, instead of having two guys focused on a minuscule task like offloading the tool that they're gonna need to use.
Again, question on what we had budgeted this year and where we stand.
The overages you're talking about?
Yeah,
On which one?
so we had budgeted for equipment 15,000 and we have spent $43,693.
I think a lot of that is part of that turnout gear. Actually, if you, on the revenues, there was insurance losses that were received at the end of 25. But the equipment was not acquired until 2026, so that's where the expense is in 26, the revenue was
Okay,
actually
so it's-
25. Yep.
It washes.
Yep, there's a reason for, or that's the main reason for the turnout gear was that's damaged in the fire, and there's some insurance claim money to offset that.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
0550, that's motor vehicles. That is our truck replacement fund. Building the reserves over time avoids asking the taxpayers for the large purchase all at once. Once again, it's about maintaining. We have a engine that is coming up on 27 years old. So it is something with looking at build times, looking at leads on that, they're talking somewhere between 18 and 24 months from when you accept a bid to when you can get delivery of that apparatus. So it's something that I want to make sure is kind of on the forefront now as we lead into the future, where I know we do have some of these bonding issues and things like that. Once again, this is the largest purchase you guys make when it comes to investing in the city, the citizens, and their safety.
So I asked Nate this question and I'm gonna ask you and I'll ask everyone else for capital improvement question. What would your priorities be?
If I could keep it simple,
I think there's one more to go through on the back page,
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
other equipment, and we can answer that question.
Oh, okay, sorry, continue on, I missed that, that's on me.
go to 0580 then. That's other equipment. It's 46.5. That account is essentially proposed to start building reserves for SCBA's, which are the packs with the air bottles that we use, portable radios, and an air compressor. Now, I know that one might jog your memory because we just purchased one a couple years ago. But at the same point in time, every one of those things has an expected life cycle, and they can be easy to pre-plan for. The money that's in there with those three different items would allow that much money to be able to come in, to be set aside, so we don't get to the point where all of a sudden I have to ask for a couple $100,000 to replace SCBA's. There'd be money that would be sitting there that you guys would be able to, or that would be set aside that we could use for those purchases.
I'm sorry, you said compressor, radio, and what was the third one?
SCBA's. And like I said, those do have expected timelines.
Shane, I just want to follow up with a question I had earlier about, so I'm looking at large items here. So, and I just want to make sure that we have the proper planning and budgeting the right amount for the large item, which would be a fire truck. I'm going to go back to what I think what you had said some time ago, that $650,000. So that's under motor vehicles, right? 0550.
Yeah, I think so.
That is correct.
That is the.
Okay,
reserve.
so my question then is, so $95,000 is being set aside in 2027. Where are we in terms of the overall amount for a fire truck then, as an example? Is that enough, given how much they cost? Or so we're looking at how much do we have now versus when we get to 2027? Do you know? Maybe John knows.
The reality of that is, by the time we get to our scheduled replacement, we're either gonna have to get creative due to the amount that we have, or we're gonna have to prolong the service life of our fire engines.
Last year was the first year that we started putting money aside for that, correct? 92,000 would be the answer for you, Joseph.
So, and that's what I thought. So my thought is it sufficient how much money, when we ask, getting a little bit to Morgan's question, we look at, even though we haven't gone completely through the budget, but looking at what we really need at that time in the future, is putting this amount aside per year in reserve enough? Should it not be increased?
With everything else going on, I guess I didn't think it'd be fair to try to play catch up. Because I think if I would put that number in front of people, they would just balk at it. I would like to just start somewhere. When it comes to equipment replacement or apparatus replacement, and if we've got a good start on it, that will continue us in the future, instead of having to try to make it retroactive. I don't see that's being fair.
I think Shane's a neighbor of mine. I think he's great. I just want to push in a nice way to say it's okay to ask for what you really need. And I think it's great to be polite, but that's going to eat you up if you really need it at that time, you're not going to get it. I'm just saying it's okay to ask for what you really need. If you are, then that's fine. If not, I would just say request for more, and then then the council has to think about, okay, what do we do? But part of your role is to ask for what you really need, and if that's exactly what you need, that's fine. But if you're concerned about what someone's going to say, I wouldn't worry about that. I'm mostly concerned about, are you going to be successful in what you do? And that's it.
So we have, I know Shane and myself and other department heads have gone through and put some Excel charts together, Joseph, that would detail replacement and what it would cost each year to budget for that. Like you said, for example, if we need to replace this in 10 years on $1 million item, obviously we would have to put $100,000 away.
Yeah.
So we do have some of those. I mean, we could certainly bring those back and let council see those also. Also, as a reminder, I'm still waiting for a few from a couple department heads, but like we did last year, I will compile all of these capital improvement items from each department together in one Excel document or spreadsheet that we can all look at and revisit these again. So this is again certainly not the last time we'll talk about these or see these. And I think at that time, I think it would be helpful for council to see how we came up with these numbers each year over the course of how many years to have them replaced. So I think it's important that you see that and understand that. And I think we'll make sure we come back and do that at a future ways and means. Certainly before the preliminary budget is set in September, we'll come back and see some of these. So good questions. Thank you.
Darren, when you guys put that spreadsheet together, I know we've done it in the past. Could we
Yeah.
have the department heads prioritize? Because I know, again, everybody would like everything and I would love to give everything to everyone, but that's, not physically. But I also am not going to pretend to be the expert that knows what is more important for each department.
Absolutely, we can. We will certainly do that. You bet.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding fire budget?
And just one thing, I know there has been projected items, and if you look at the comparable, there's a shortfall there, and we haven't spent it all. That's the department being budget conscious and knowing that what we have to answer to the taxpayers. We're not gonna sit there in November, and I'm not gonna print out a budget review, and I'm not gonna look, hey guys, we got this money to spend. I'm doing my best to forecast those amounts and plan for things. And if those things don't happen, I'm probably gonna plan for it again, it just might not happen.
Good job.
So,
It's a good job.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job, Shane.
Yes, you're doing a good job, man.
Okay, thank you, Shane. I guess you're still at the table. We'll move on to emergency management.
I think on that one too, Shane, if I'm looking at it, is the only increase, you had a decrease in training and then an increase in other equipment. If you probably just want to hit those two, Shane, and run through them real quick.
I'll take care
Otherwise,
of
it looks
those
like
two quick
everything
and
is
we'll
the
go from
same.
there.
Excuse me?
I can take care of those two quick and go from there.
Thank you.
So the one that he's talking about here on the EM side is the 0331. That's being decreased. There used to be two major conferences that we go through every year, and right now the future of one is up in air and does not sound like it might be coming back, so that was pretty easy to adjust. But then when you do go into 0580, and there is a request for 12,500. That is to buy, I could pass this home, I should have made copies, I'm sorry. It's a high capacity water pump, and talking to Public Works staff, every spring we talk about high water, try to plan for it, we see what we got for prep. As we went through this year, the opportunity, one of these became available, and some of that staff was asking to have a serious inquiry on whether or not we could fund something like this. It is a larger purchase. Emergency management should be able to take care of it. So I'm just bringing it forward. It's a 24-inch, it's 16 feet long, it's a 24-inch pump. It can move a lot of water in a heck of a hurry in an emergency. If you remember in 2022, when we had the high water, it was behind the fire station, to buy them enough time when they were going there, we had this pump back there that was able, when we had an issue with gates not closing, we were able to drop this in and keep the water on the riverside instead of inundating the dry side. So that's, and I can get you more information on that if you want to, but it's essentially just a large emergency water pump in case something goes bad. We've got something that's mobile that we can bring out and use it to get water away from something that might be important.
What is the total cost of that, or is that?
12.5.
So that would just be a one-time, okay.
Is that self-driven or PTO off a tractor?
Sorry, PTO driven pump. So the motors that you see that they put around on the levees, it would hook up to those just as well as a tractor.
Okay. Anything else on emergency management? Okay, thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks for your time.
Good job.
Thank you, Shane. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shane.
Community development is next.
I think that one at Valley Tech Park, Your Honor,
Valley Tech Park.
and community development, correct. Yep, they're both together.
Okay, we'll start with community development. Thanks for being here, Taylor.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So similar to a lot of the other budgets you folks have already reviewed, lines 0101 through 0133 are all related to
salaries and fringe benefits. Do you want me to read through each one line by line or? Okay, perfect. Then I will jump to 0200 office supplies. We're proposing $1,500 for that budget line. It is a decrease of $1,000 from our 2026 budget. Just looking at what we've kind of spent historically and where we're at this year. I think we would be safe to make that decrease. I will then go to the next budgeted item. You'll see 0303 for contractual. In 2026, we did budget $4,000. After talking with Darren and John, we felt like that item could be lumped in with professional fees. So we do have that budgeted at 0, bringing us to line 0312 professional fees. That is budgeted at $80,000 and we're proposing to keep that the same in 2027. You'll see that our year-to-date actual for professional fees is over budget. That is due to the geothermal feasibility study that was done in the Woods edition. Those professional fees are ran through this line item and those are reimbursed. So we're not actually over budget. We've been reimbursed, find my number, $70,565 in 2026. So if you were eliminating that from that $97,000, the year-to-date actual would be $27,251. So we're not over budget, it just doesn't flow back into this line item, if that makes sense. Any questions so far?
Do we have anything scheduled or planned for those professional fees that we are
So
budgeting for?
for 2026?
Yes.
So those were budgeted high in 2026, higher than in previous years, largely due to projects we had coming up like the industrial park project. Since that is not going into construction until 2027, we likely won't spend all $80,000 this year.
So could we roll those funds over then into and decrease what we plan for 2027?
So you don't wanna reduce your 27 budget for those reserves. You still wanna budget what you're actually going to plan on spending. Essentially what will happen though is when we look at, if you're underspent in the end of 2026, then that just goes into your reserve balance. So then when you look at balancing for levy, whether or not you wanna use levy dollars or reserve dollars, that's where that decision process would be.
That's kind of what I've always been talking about for a lot of years. We don't spend the money on the previous budget. It's my belief that we overtaxed our citizens, that we should have spent the money. We taxed our citizens based on that. So then we should start out the next year with that additional money that we didn't spend to start off our budget so we can levy less. But that's the whole point I was always trying to get to, but we never knew what our unrestricted revenue number was, so we could never get to that point. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
0321 is communications. We have a small decrease for that proposed budget, just to better reflect what items have historically come out of that account. It's basically our Verizon bills for our city cell phones. Travel and training expenses, we've kept at $10,000. This is so that community development staff can attend conferences and trainings throughout the year. Legal publication notices, we reduced the budget from $5,000 down to $2,000. These types of notices are typically for large projects or grant projects. You have to do kind of publish notices in the newspaper that generally have to run for a certain period of time. And those can be quite expensive. We haven't had any of those yet this year, and I anticipate needing less than the $5,000. So we did drop that down to $2,000 for 2027. Printing and advertising, from 2024 to our 2027 proposed budget, you'll see a pretty substantial decrease, and that has to do with just reorganization of where the marketing department lies within the city budget. So in 2024 and 2025, that marketing budget was under the community development department. It is no longer under the community development department, so we've adjusted that accordingly. Liability insurance is $2,500. Workers' compensation is $1,000. Subscriptions and dues, we bumped down to $100. We just don't have a lot of subscriptions and dues that we pay out of our community development budget. And that brings me to the end.
Thank you.
As far as travel and training, is that enough? I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but you're new to your position, so I mean, if there's some training that would really benefit you, I'm just wondering
Yeah,
if that's.
so we did talk about this when we met and discussed the budget, Darren, John and I think there's definitely ways for us to make $10,000 an appropriate amount of money for the staff that we have. You know, whether that's, we both don't attend all of the same conferences, and that sort of thing. There is a city vehicle that we're able to use to avoid mileage reimbursements, which can be quite high. So I think that $10,000 is sufficient.
Thank you.
A question about the liability insurance, that covers individual people, the whole organization, or both?
It's on your board as well.
John, do
So
you?
that, I mean, that's the whole city umbrella policy. That's the property and liability comes in as one invoice, and then it's allocated through all the departments, based off of, there's a spreadsheet, I guess, to allocate based off of payroll, and there's also select items that we actually get how much those items affect the premium. And so then that overall premium is that just journal entered into each department.
Got it. Thank you.
And Wendy, did you have a question on that as well?
It was the same relation.
Okay.
No, but it looks like you dropped it almost 76,000 from last year, so. Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, Valley Tech Park.
So first page is revenues. Really the only revenue item we have is under miscellaneous revenues, 6223 rent. This is based on the tenants we have currently at Valley Technology Park. So this is what we anticipate to bring in for revenue in 2027. That of course would change if we got additional tenants or lost a tenant. But $105,000 is what we would be looking at with our current leases. If there's no questions on that side, we can jump to expenditures. The first line there is office supplies 0200. So we have, oh, excuse me. Yeah, that's correct. So we have $500 budgeted for office supplies. In the past, we've spent right around, right between $300 and $400, it looks like, for 2024 and 2025. These expenses come up on occasion. Sometimes it's things like blinds for offices like our tenants, or blinds for our own city offices if we didn't have them in the past and they were installed. Laundry is for like rags and things like that that are used for janitorial services, as well as our rugs. We did actually change how the building is cleaned each year, and so we're keeping that at $250 just to account for what our new laundry and linen service bill might be. I anticipate we'll be using fewer rags and things like that in the future as the cleaning service we now have provides their own. So janitor supplies 0213, you'll see that decreased as well, largely due to the cleaning service that we are contracted with now. provides their own kind of like sprays and cleaning materials and things like that, mop heads, et cetera. We did keep it at $1,000 just for things like trash bags, toilet paper, soap, et cetera. The next budgeted item is 0222, building repairs and maintenance. You'll see this line jumps up from the $10,000 that was budgeted in 2026 to $20,000. That is to account for the cleaning services contract that I just mentioned. I will point out that while it is an increase on this line item, we did reduce our bottom line item 0820 administration. So it's kind of just a reallocation of funds in that sense. Questions so far? Next line item is professional fees. I've got that budgeted for $1,000. That would just be for things like if we had a repair or maintenance project that needed to be done at Valley Tech Park, and we had any sort of like plumber come in and fix some plumbing or electrical work or something of that sort, that you would hire a professional and they would charge a fee. If we had any kind of contract to do any work that the city attorney had to review, that would fall under this line. So we haven't budgeted there in the past, but it seems like it's smart to have something budgeted there. Communications, we've currently got budgeted $2,000. I will admit I need to do a little bit more research on what this line has been used for in the past. You'll see there's a credit for year-to-date actual in 2026. And when we prepared this budget, we weren't totally sure if this is for like internet at Valley Technology Park or what exactly this line item is. Liability insurance, you'll see is $3,600. John, I presume that's the same as with community development. It's part of the city's overarching policy.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, same form, the same. All the 361 and then 362 liability insurance and workers' comp are on the same spreadsheet.
Utilities, we did reduce the budget slightly for utilities, just based on where we're at with spending this year. We felt like $50,000 was too high. We didn't reduce it more than $5,000 just because we expect utility rates to increase in 2027. So that's your Otter Tail, your Great Plains Natural Gas, things like that. Sanitation service, we do have a dumpster out at Valley Tech that is emptied regularly. So we've budgeted $1,000 for that. You'll see 2024 and 2025 kind of middle 750 range, accounting for things to go up in 2027. So we bumped it up to $1,000. Office equipment and repairs. We've reduced that number slightly as well to $2,500, just to better align with, you know, what we've kind of spent in the past has been on the lower side. So we did drop that one slightly as well. Office equipment, we put at 0. We felt that that could be similar to the office equipment repairs line in the same budgeted line. Real estate taxes, we have $1,000 budgeted for the property taxes that we pay on the property every year. And then you'll see 0530 other improvements. That is a capital improvement line item. It is a request for $200,000 to replace the steel roof on the building. It currently leaks during heavy rain events into offices. Specifically, the problematic areas have been offices where we have tenants. So we'd like to budget to have that replaced if we can.
Do we know what the total cost for that replacement would be?
I've received one quote so far at $143,000. Not accounting for the labor costs, so $200,000 to cover that, hopefully.
Okay. But, so it'd be a one-time thing, it's not like we're putting money away each year?
So in the meantime, is there anything you're doing to stop it from leaking? Are you getting up there or getting somebody up there to?
So that has been done in the past. So to my knowledge, in past years, contractors have been hired and done like a silicone seal around the screws that are holding the roof in. It's just not perfect.
So you think it's coming from the screws in the roof up above?
Hearing it secondhand, so this wasn't told straight to me, but yes, the theory is that at some point, whether it was when the roof was initially installed or when some kind of repair work happened in the past, those screws were over tightened and that's caused the leaking roof.
I know the roof was a topic of discussion last year also. Was there any money set aside last year for the roof?
I don't believe so.
To answer your question, no, there was not. Last year, I think it was just a grab in the air, was 375,000. That was the estimated to replace that roof. I'm not sure where that number came from. But thanks to Taylor, she did go out and receive one bid. Obviously, we would receive more than that. I think for that dollar amount, we might even have to open it up for sealed bids. But it certainly gave us an amount that's reasonable and something to work with. So although we did put 200,000 in there, as we receive additional bids or what that looks like, that number could be changed. Obviously, could go down if needed. So.
Yeah, other questions?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Taylor.
Yeah, thank you all.
Next is finance. Look at that, John.
Slide over so you can see me here.
That's okay.
Better, no, at least. All evening, thank you. Got, sorry, grabbed the wrong sheet away. Here it is. The finance department budget for the 41,400. You know, overall, there are major changes for the year. You're gonna see some, start with revenues. For the revenues, the one main change you're gonna see in the charge for service is in prior years, the mowing fees have gone into the finance department's revenue, and there's an offsetting contracted services. The Park and Rec has taken that over, and so all that revenue will go into the Park and Rec fund going forward. I did reduce up in license and permits 2182, licenses and other 2025 there was 4,600, but a lot of that had to do with the food trucks, and I guess kind of in the recent standard practice we've been kind of waiving a lot of those, so I did conservatively put that down to 2,000. So that could go up depending on how we handle food trucks going forward.
You say we've been waiving them?
Well, we recently waived them, but I think the reason you're seeing a decrease there is because we haven't had a lot of food truck traffic in our city. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's been case by case. I think even Oxcart, do they pay a fee?
They pay a portion of the fee, if I remember what Ashley said correctly.
And then
Night to Unite is waived.
Unite, is that exempt?
Yes.
Yes, night to night's exempt. I believe Oxcart pays, don't quote me on it, I have to get the number, I believe it's $500 for the event. I'm not 100% certain on that, but council has waived some fees. I think that event coming up at the sports center just after Oxcart, I forget the name of it, the base tournament, the fees were waived there. So we have had some different votes on that for sure.
Going down into expenditures, the salaries, that's just based off of the due wage studies from ABDO and the anticipated ASME contract. I don't have anything for overtime or temporary wages going forward, and the rest of the 0-100 numbers are all based off of either statutory percentages or anticipated healthcare costs for 3 staff members. Office supplies, I kept at 6,000 for now, as we might have some improvements that we have to do in some of the offices.
and potential additional paperwork that were reduced when there was less staff in the finance department. Professional fees, I reduced from last year's budget from 100,000 down to 50,000. One of them is a contract with VIA that we have to annually do for the audit was in subscription and dues. I'm moving that back into professional services. And then the main reason for keeping that is potential anticipation of assistance from CLA going forward if depending on how we transition into catching up and then a new software implementation. Travel and training, I put that at $4,000 mainly for additional trainings with GFOA, and then we'll also be implementing a new software and potentially utilizing and getting some additional training on that so we can for some efficiencies that I think the software can handle and help us out. So that's the reason for we hadn't been utilizing that budget in the past, but that's why I think 4,000 will be a good number in 2027. Legal and publication notices, the $1,000 there is really, I think, with the bonding going forward and different issuances that we may have to do there, we will have some costs associated with those. The liability and workers' comp, again, are just part of the contraction or the formula. 0404 contractual equipment and maintenance, those are just there's copiers, printer, and fax leases. So those are pretty set with just a slight anticipated increase in our fees or monthly fees.
Do we still fax?
Well, it's kind of just an overall contract license. I have not sent one recently, but I'm not sure.
We do fax, Joseph, crazy enough. Like it's not the old style where you put the paper through. It's actually through an email that you would scan and send it through an email, not an actual dial number. But as with all our copiers and everything, there's a fee that goes along with that to have that option also. So it's certainly a newer style of faxing, but it still does occur quite a bit, yes.
Thank you.
And then towards the bottom, 0433, the subscription and dues, the reason for the reduction there of the 2,000 down to 200 is moving that VIA contract for the some services they perform for the audit annually up into professional fees. And so just the remaining, what was that for the credit card fees is basically what's left in there. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, John. Now it's IT.
So starting at the top, 0101 for salaries. That is, as John said on his as well, it's based on the ABDO study. The rest of those coming down until 0200 office supplies would all be based on those salaries. So starting at 0200 office supplies, have that set at 3,000. That's kind of basically what that's averaged out over the last few years. Mostly take, phone cases, keyboards, things like that that come out of that fund each year. Next up, let's see, there's no changes until we hit 0221, disposal expense of equipment. We added that last year because I identified that there was a significant amount of stuff in the basement that needed to be gotten rid of. We were lucky enough that when the dumpsters were added, anything that could be thrown away in the dumpsters were thrown away there. We cleared out a lot of 15-year-old plus equipment, a lot of it just cords and things like that. But what we kind of decided with that is if we have disposal of equipment going forward, we can just take that out of the
the office expenses. The next item, system batteries, that was also 0223 was added last year as well. That was partly added as we kind of identify that we have a lot of small UPS battery backup devices with computers. We replaced a lot of those, but once again, you can see what's been spent through there, $155 this year. That we just decided that we could pull that out of office expenses as well. Small tools and equipment, 0240, is set to $1,500 again, that one's the same. The next one's 0303, contractual. We are zeroing that one out, that's really just kind of moving to subscriptions and dues and putting all those together. And talking with John, we'll still keep a list of actual contracted pieces of software for audit purposes, but it makes a lot of sense to just bring them all together in the same place. It gets a little confusing sometimes as far as which one of those you're gonna code out of. Historically, it's come out of both of those. Last year, we tried to do anything that had a contract out of contractual, but that changes from year to year. After a 3-year contract, it may move into just a year-to-year renewal. And so rather than move it over to subscriptions and dues and kind of follow that rule, we just kind of decided to move all that together. So we can kind of discuss that as we get closer to that one. The next one, 0309 EDP software and design, that one is back to zero as well. Last year, the 47,000 for the 2026 budget was put in there because of the migration to Encode 10. That is still on track, I believe, to be started and finished this year. And that will cover the payment for those services. But after this year, we wouldn't need anything for that. 0312 professional fees. We have that one bumped a little bit up to 2,500, an increase from 1,000 last year. You can see we've spent 5,800 in there already. Most of that is related to the virtualization migration that we had with the new equipment. Just some things that were out of scope. It took a little bit longer to finish, and that's kind of what that covers. Historically, there's been a little bit more spent out of that. From service partners like Exogen or Marco, that just when we need a little more expertise on a subject and some help on some things. Let's see, 0321 communications. Communications is mostly just coming cell phones for two folks with hotspots. We kind of added that in last year. We found ourselves working in places when the internet's out, we don't have service to work on the devices. There's a little more additional added there. Sometimes the IT department will pick up a third device, whether that's by accident or it's just carrying a device temporarily for a seasonal activity or something like that, like an LTE card for a device for a period of time. So we bumped that up just a smidge to cover basically what was already currently being spent in there this year. 0331 travel training expense. I guess I should preface some of this as well. If you look at last year's budget versus this year and you look at what was spent, a lot of that was intentional to spend as little money as possible in the worst case scenario that we needed to move forward with the virtualization purchase of equipment and stuff. Luckily, there were some contracts that rather than renew at the full price, we renewed at 3 months or 90 days or something along those lines. So last year was very much spent trying to cut as much as we could without affecting services in an attempt to make room for those that improvement. So for the example of travel and training expense, that's been an obvious place to just not spend money, especially when we were trying to save for that. Going forward, we'd like to take advantage of that. It's definitely been something we've kind of neglected. This year especially, we're kind of finishing up, or as we finished our migration with virtualization and then migrating our shares onto that equipment as well. We're starting to see that we may have more time for some training as well. Definitely something we would like to keep in the budget and take advantage of. Let's see, skipping down, there's no changes on the next three items. Let's see, down to 0380 utilities. Utilities is set at $3,000. It seems weird what we have for utilities. We're all using Halstead Internet, but that is covering. Okay, yeah, it's Midco cable, which sounds strange, but we use that to monitor channel 3. We have a place to monitor that upstairs. There's one in the OC and there's one down here at the back of the room. That just allows us to see real time. Well, I say real time, but there's a delay, but it allows us to see the output basically of what's going on in here. And then when we're not in here, it allows us to verify that our normal day-to-day slideshow is running. Let's see, public access channel 0390. We have $500 in that one. We maintain that from last year. That was added last year. It's really just a kind of way to track what we're spending on some of the channel 3 improvements. Since I've been here, there's been some things we did. We upgraded computers, also changed the way it was all connected. The intention to all of our Midco equipment that runs the public access channel, we want to isolate that into its own cabinet. So some of those things are what we would spend that on. And that's all just to kind of keep it separate so that when there's a troubleshooting issue, we know exactly where we go to fix that. And also just to kind of track our time with that and the amount of time we spend on that. 0404 office equipment repairs. We have that set at $2,500. That is for various things. Piece of equipment that maybe requires repairing devices, G-Tac with a broken screen. Things like that we have historically spent that money on. The big one here is 0433, subscription and dues. The vast majority of IT spending comes out of this category. This entails anything from Windows licensing to our VoIP phone system. It has a wide range of things. What I previously discussed about was moving all of that in contractual and the subscriptions and dues together. We have it budgeted for $267,922. So that's what the large increase is. It's really just bringing that contractual down into the subscriptions and dues. Let's see, other improvements, 0530. We have the 24,500 on that. Previously, we had 7250. That 7250 is to replace a G-Tac computer for the squad cars. We've previously had, I think, one of those basically in the budget every year, replacing one a year for 4 or 5 devices. That includes potentially a cradle point, as those occasionally have to be replaced. We can sometimes recycle those, but that's just the wireless access device that goes in there with it. We will intend to purchase another one of those this year. For next year, this is kind of something we had discussed. Moving to the 6 squad cars, 2 backups. Replacing one device every 6 years is a long time to wait on a device. So for this year, we had suggested replacing 2. And that would rotate basically every other year or so, or maybe you do 2 and then you do 1 and see where you are. The additional $10,000 that's there is for this is all capital improvement. Sorry to not say that. $10,000 to rewire the network drops in the airport. Over the last year and a half, almost 2 years, as we've kind of gotten around to all these buildings and looked at the wiring in them, the airport is definitely one that was a hodgepodge, just put together to make it work. As we were looking at cabinets and cleaning up wiring there in the past, we've seen cables change colors 3 times, and that's not supposed to happen. They've been just spliced together and just made to work, is the best way to put it. I just have a placeholder there for $10,000. I don't know if that's what it'll cost. It cost about $10,000 to rewire City Hall. right before I came on in 2024. That was about 45 network runs that they replaced. So we're looking at maybe half of that at the airport and fairly short runs. So it probably won't come in that high, waiting to get quotes back on that from several sources. The next category, 0570. What was budgeted last year was for the virtualization project. We're looking at $50,000, which was requested as well last year, but not fulfilled. It would be for reserve to replace networking equipment and infrastructure going forward. And we just replaced servers, which that's a good thing, but we have core switches and all the switches that exist in all the buildings, as well as access points. That we would replace it. At this point, we're looking, down the line, maybe we're in year 4 of those. Hopefully we get 6, hopefully maybe if they're still in support, maybe we can get a 7th year out of that. But the idea is to start putting some money aside so that we don't have to come ask for a one-time large sum to replace those. I believe over the last, 2023, when the ARPA funds were used for network replacements, roughly $450,000, I believe, were spent on that. So we're just trying, that number doesn't have to stay at 50. It's just a place to start where we need to put some money aside, I think, to prepare for that. The next one, 0570 workstation and furnishings. We have that set at 24,000 again. That, if you remember from last year, was a 1/3 device replacement of workstations for staff. We were able to, we've utilized the vast majority of that for this year, kind of saving the last little bit for something that may go wrong. But definitely something, to go along. That's definitely a high priority. It's one of the things that I noticed when I first got here. Infrastructure was all really good. I had zero money to replace computers, and many of them were struggling. We've seen some really good improvements in a couple of places. Where we've replaced devices. And unfortunately, if you know anything about, well, everything seems to go up, but RAM prices have gone up drastically. If you were building a computer last fall, it was not a great time to do it, especially around Christmas going forward. And those prices on RAM are not going to go down anytime in the near future. Most of that's being used up by data centers, but that has increased the cost of replacing devices. Luckily, this year we got in really well. We replaced 10 devices and did not compromise on specs, and we got them at a reasonable price. We've replaced a few more after that, but we don't necessarily foresee that always being a thing in the future. So that one's a really important one from a capital improvement standpoint. And that looks like we're at the end of the list there.
Thank you. My only question, and most of this makes sense to me, is that for the squad cars, the 7,250, it's I understand it's in the IT budget, but couldn't it also be in the police budget? How do you determine if it's going to be in purely this or the police? Because I'm sure there's IT stuff that's not on here. When you think about technology, can you just kind of walk me through the decision on that?
Yeah, and I know Darren can speak to this as well, but previously Chad Palm, when he was in this role, all IT, whether that was software, any devices, he wanted that all to come through the IT budget. We've kind of relinquished a little bit of that. Darren pays for several of the software services. And part of that is because he's in those every day, he sees those, and he can make sure that those get budgeted and covered. As far as that 7,250 or even the what we've asked for this year, it could be over there. Typically IT pays for devices. That's kind of been the way it has mostly been, unless someone has a little bit of funding left in a department and they need something in a year where we're not replacing them and we can kind of put funds together. But for the most part, IT buys the physical device, is the way it has mostly been in the past.
So question, I know I've been asking this for a while. Where's our time card situation? Are we still doing paper time cards?
I don't know that I have a great answer on that. What was previously budgeted in the past, so there was a certain amount of money budgeted for time, I think it was something like $80,000 is what they were planning, or what was recommended. I don't know if it ever actually was budgeted. My understanding, and this is something we kind of joke about, is that, oh, you can do that in Encode 10, so that's what
Yeah,
we're
so that
moving
was
to in
always the
10.
answer that I was given.
But I don't know exactly what will be available. I think when we tried to get some clarification on that. And it may be not as robust as what previously was asked for. Do you remember, John, what the clarification was on that? I know we talked about it in there. I think it was mainly just a way to enter time in rather than doing it on the sheets. There would be a portal they could do, but it wouldn't be.
So what do we need to do? I need an answer from you to tell me exactly what we need to do to get up to 2026 standards of entering time.
I think a lot of it has been, we were promised a lot of things. I mean, when I first started, everybody thought we were already moving to Encode 10, and then we found out, oh, we hadn't even signed the contract for that yet. So we got that set. Tyler Technologies is great. They're just, maybe their timelines are a little slower than we like them, would be the best way to put it. I haven't checked lately. John might have a more up-to-date, not to ask him to answer, but we previously were set to kind of start maybe in July and try to finish by the end of this year to move to Encode 10. And I hate to say it's one of those things where we just have to wait and get there to see what it's like, but until we, it's a big jump from 9 to 10, I'll say that.
Isn't there some other cities that are on Encode 10 and you can ask them how they do their time cards? And
I believe Thief River uses Encode 10, so it's certainly something we can
are they
ask.
satisfied with the time?
Well, previously Holly, that's where she had come from. She was a big fan of Encode 10. And I think that's one of the major driving forces with us moving forward on that, was her.
But you would have to agree, we gotta get away from paper time cards, right? I mean, isn't it like?
I mean, I guess it works, but it would be nice to have something that they could enter their time into digitally, whether that's on a phone. And I know some allow for like geofencing, where you can't enter your time in until you're in a certain area, or you have a kiosk where that's available.
Is it ADM, 80? I mean, lot of companies just have that. So is our time entries a lot more complicated than it is just to get that?
I don't know that it's that. I do think that previously when there was some money, like they were planning for it in one of the maybe the 2024 budget before I started. I think sometimes there's a few misconceptions on what Encode 10 can do, and I think there was some people under the impression that it would be more robust, but I found that to be true on a few things with them. It's like we ask about it and then we find out, oh, no, the price won't go down, or oh, this isn't in 10, or oh, you can't do that, when we do the transition, you'll have to add that back later. I mean, there's been a little bit of that, and it's not their fault. Maybe that's just some of the turnover from those periods of times. I don't know.
So are there cities out there that have Encode 10 but are using a platform for time entry?
I don't have an answer to that, but I mean, we can certainly look into it.
I mean, I just want to get to the point of where we're not doing that. I mean, so the other question I have, since when I started on the council, our IT department I thought was in pretty bad shape. So as you sit here today, how do you feel about where we are at as a city? And I mean, what grade would you give us right now?
I know the League of Minnesota Cities had us do a cybersecurity survey at the beginning of 2025. One of the comments we got back from that was that we had some of the most detailed information. They gave us a few things that we could improve on. One of those is moving to a .gov domain. That's something we're already in the process of doing. The goal is to take what Chad and Zach specifically did a great job of coming in, and I know I said this last year, of assessing the situation and saying, oh no, we need to improve. And they through the ARPA funding, they were able to do that. So our goal is to continue the services that they basically set in place, and then maintain those, but maybe expand them where that's cost effective. I think we're in a pretty good place. One of the biggest things that I saw lacking when I started was the infrastructure was good, but the individual devices, the workstations were lagging so badly that, and when I say lag, I just mean they were behind, but they were lagging literally too. But that's been an area that we really needed to get to. Cybersecurity wise, it feels like, I don't want to say that we're doing great because that would be a mistake. There's always things we can do. One of the things that we'll look at doing in the future is a penetration test to see how good our defenses basically are from a company that's, not going to take advantage of us. That's their job. I think we're in a pretty good place. A lot of it is maintaining the device life cycles. So once we start replacing these devices, if we can kind of stay on a cycle of every 3 to 4 years, we replace them. Same with our network equipment. We want to be able to replace that, on a life cycle. And so maintaining those, also trying to set money aside in reserve so that we know that we'll be able to replace those has kind of been the goal.
So I don't know if this is an unfair question or not, but is there something that, you could research and bring back to council other than waiting for Inco 10 to see what it does?
Sure.
So it'd be nice to know if we should start working on towards something different. Or I just don't want to wait until whenever we get Inco 10. When is that gonna happen? 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
We should be, Encode 10 should be in, I would guess. I don't know what the new timeline, if it's been, I know it's been pushed back a little bit. I know John had, I think, right, we pushed it just a small smidge there.
Yeah.
It was still supposed to be finished by the end of this year, but we'll see, I guess. But I totally we can reach out and see what maybe would be a good option,
I
for sure.
think we could at least talk to some cities that are using Encode 10 and find out if it's working great for the time entry and all that. And if it's not, if there's cities that have Encode 10, but they're using something else. And then,
When you do that, also keep in mind, police and fire and how their differentials and holiday and all of that comes into, just as I know other places have had some issues.
great,
with
but
that.
I'm sure there's cities out there that are all using the same time
Yes,
entry
I'm just saying,
system.
that's just something to keep in mind.
Well, yeah, right, but that's why I asked, is our time entry so complicated? Because I know we have to get it in different departments sometimes, the way they log hours, but just a line item on a time card. Right?
Yeah, I've used a system in the past that if you were clocking in as, a different, if you're blowing, I guess, I don't remember what they do, the different ones like Public Works has, but you would just clock out and you clock in under that new code or whatever. And it's gonna track it based on that. But recently, have we looked into it? No. So it'd be something we'll need to.
I just want to say, I think you guys are doing a great job in the IT, like I said. When I first got on the council, it was kind of almost embarrassing of where we're at as a city. And it's still a little bit embarrassing to tell people that our city employees are punching a time card or
Turning in a paper.
writing something down. It's like, so.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? All right, Joseph, Darren, thanks for tuning in.
Your Honor, I have a
Yes, go ahead.
Am I still on? Before we end, I noticed that many of the budgets that are presented and will be presented have utility costs, some more than others. The Valley Technical Park was $45,000, and I know that some buildings, for example, the swimming pool, it can be pretty high throughout the year. I would propose that, I know it's costly in the end, but to do an assessment of what would it take to actually build our own utility company, our own electrical provider, similar to East Grand Forks, and just to get a sense of, one, what the overall cost would be, two, what our savings would be, given our utility costs when you add all these things together per year, and get a sense of when we would actually get a return and how much that would be. I think that could be part of the strategy of being proactive, at least to determine if it's something that could suit us well in the future. I propose that, and hopefully it will gain some traction that we can talk about this during a council meeting.
All right, thank you. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Thank you.
It's on it, so I had to talk to Peter about the timeline there first, just because we wanna
I
get it
guess.
in before,
Are you ready?
so it's 100% squared away before year end, right? And
I
like
think we
this.
need more